Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Coding for Kids. In this episode, we're going to build our player object, which will be our last object that we create for this game. So let's get into it. Okay, so first up, let's go over to our program, our project, and we want to right click on that, and we want to go to Add Class, and we want to create player with a capital P .cs and hit add. Okay, now we have our player object or player class. We want to make this public. Now, the properties for our player or our variables for our player is we're going to have a weapons array. And if you remember, a weapons array is like a list of weapons. And the reason we want to do that is because as our player goes through the game, they're going to pick up new weapons from the treasure object that we created. And when they do, we're going to add them to this array. Okay, so we're going to create the array. It's going to have 3 positions, and I'll show you how we do that again if you've forgotten. But anyways, it's going to have 3 slots to put weapons, and we're just going to start him off with bare hands, all right, which is not going to do that much damage, but like I said, as he finds treasures, they're going to have better weapons and he can use those in his battle. All right, so let's get into it. So straight off the bat, let's do our weapons array. So we're just going to do public weapon, not weapons, weapon, and then you do the open close square brackets. And then let's do underscore weapons, because it's a weapons, it's multiple. After that, we're going to do public string underscore name, because our player is going to have a name. After that, we're going to have public int underscore health, because our player is going to have health. Okay, now this next bit, don't worry if you don't understand it, but we're going to be using a grid to determine where our player is on the map. And how grids work is there's going to be a horizontal number, and depending on how far along that horizon, the horizontal line they are, it's going to give a number. And then there's going to be a number to say how high or low the player is on that grid. And that's going to give us a number. So if he's at 0 for X and 0 for Y, he's going to be here. But if he's at 2x 0y, he's going to be over here. Okay, so it might not make too much sense, but in the next episode, when we add the map to our game, it should become clear what that's doing. So if you don't understand, just follow along, and we should be good to go. Okay, so let's do public int underscore POS for position X. So that's the X axis. And we're going to do public int position Y, which is going to be the Y axis. And then after that, we're going to do public int underscore last position X. So that's going to tell us where your player was that position before. And the reason we want to do that is because if our player tries to go somewhere they're not supposed to go, we're going to say, okay, just go back to that last position. And like I said, it'll make more sense once we get into the map and the logic. And then we want to do a last position Y. Then we want to create a constructor to set these variables. So 2 of the variables are going to be passed into the constructor. The other ones we're just going to set in the constructor. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's do public player, open curly bracket, and then let's do string name semicolon, and then let's do int health close parentheses, and then enter open close curly brackets. Now inside of those curly brackets, let's set name, let's set health. And then for the weapon, I'll show you what we're going to do. And like I said before, our weapons variable is going to have 3 slots. And the way we do that is we do underscore weapons equals new weapon, open square bracket, 3, because we want to allow our player to have 3 weapons, and a semicolon. Okay, and then we're going to set these 3 slots for the weapon at the start. So we're going to do underscore weapons, open square bracket, position 0. So that's the first slot in the weapons array, equals new weapon. And that first weapon is going to be called bare hands. So that's going to be the player's starting weapon. And it's going to do a minimum 5 damage and a max 15. And we'll do a semicolon. And then we're going to do position 1, which is the second slot in the weapons. We're going to do weapon, open parenthesis. And this one's going to be empty. It's going to do 0, 0. And let's just copy and paste that last line. And that's going to be also the third position, which is going to be 2 in the array. It's going to be empty. Okay, so our player is going to, we're going to take this name, enter it here. We're going to take the health that's passed in and enter it here. And we're going to create the array, and then we're going to set the array's positions. One with bare hands, the other 2 empty. Then we're going to do underscore position X. And the position X of our player is going to start position 8. And now this is going to be, the reason I'm picking 8 is because I've already built the map to make it a little easier for the kids. And the next one is going to be position Y, which is 1. And then the last position is going to be the same as the starting position for now. And that's it for this episode. We're done. So if you've got to this point where you've created all these variables and you've created this constructor and you've set the names being passed in and set to this variable, and the health's being passed in and set to this variable, and you've created an array of 3 weapons, and you've set position 0 of that array to bare hands, position 1 and 2 to empty, and they're doing no damage. And then you set the position X to 8, and position Y to 1, and the last position X to 8, and the last position Y to 1. You're good to go. If you've got no errors, that's it for this episode.